Eternal Cyclic Journey of Souls through Three Worlds. This is part 2 of 5-part series using the 9 laws of world drama of souls. And all this is proved or validated using laws of physics and sometimes metaphysics. This is the overview we have all gone through in part 1. So overviews of all the laws and how it culminates into a soul journey. Here we are going to define a drama which is linear. So we are going to talk about 5 laws, laws 1 to 5 of the total 9 laws. Let us revise what was the overview of the drama, the 9 laws and what the journey is. This is what we are going to do it in this part, is the time axis. And then we are going to define the drama as a line, and where the script of the Purush is going to control the Prakriti, which are the two main major actors, Purush and Prakriti. And this is the time axis, and this is y-axis, the quality axis. And we are going to talk about quality and in the next part. So this is going to be the total cycle. This we have gone through the sequence in the previous part. Now in this, the first we are going to define the drama, which is looking at laws 1 to 5, and we are going to use quantum physics and theory of relativity. This presentation is of 7 parts. Now let us talk about this one, which we are going to, through this second part of the series, is the defining of a drama. Then third part, we are going to talk about how the drama, quality of the drama, which is Sattva-Tramo. Then the fourth part is the opposite one. Sattva-Tamo means drama is cycle. This is, we are going to talk about law of thermodynamics. Then we are going to drama of cycles, which we are going to involve metaphysics. And then ultimately, we are going to talk about the total cycle. So let us now concentrate on this part, laws 1 to 5, regarding the defining of the drama. And actually, these laws 1 to 5 talks about the 2 actors, namely Purush and Prakriti of the drama. The first law is that there are 2 actors of the world drama, and how Purush and Prakriti, the 2 actors, where the quantum laws are made applicable. So what is the relevance of that? So we are going to talk about the human world. The human world will have a Purush, or we call soul. Character of soul is it doesn't have a mass, doesn't have a charge. It's energy, which is a thought energy. It is based on frequency. It is when part is being played, frequency greater than 0, and soul is getting discharged. The soul is a conscious mind, which is a mind and intellect. Then there is a script. There are scripts in the soul. And then there is a original sanskar, it's a cube, which is made of the 7 sanskars. And then when the script is executed, the black layers, or what we call it as vikar, is also formed. So based on the vikar, charge of the soul is getting reduced. Then we are going to talk about prakriti, or matter or particle, which is, if you can, prakriti is divided, and ultimately it is it is made up of electrons and quarks. So they are the fundamental particles at quantum level. Prakriti is made up of electrons and quarks, and which we are going to use electrons to analyze the quantum behavior of the Prakriti or phi element. Distinction is that Prakriti always will have some mass and there will be some charge, and then we'll see that Prakriti follows the kind of a duality. It means it sometimes works as an energy and sometimes it works as a mass. That is what we are going to see. And soul is interacting with Prakriti based on the photon of the energy. And once we'll say that the quantum laws are applicable both to soul as well as Purush and Prakriti. And soul works as an observer and Prakriti's work is observed, and this is how the soul controls the Prakriti. That is what we are going to see in this presentation. And one of the interpretation of the quantum physics, we'll also talk about Supreme Soul. And difference between soul and Supreme Soul is the charge is infinity. It has a script and there is never going to be any black layer in this. And then Supreme Soul resides in a sixth element, or we can call it as a Brahma Tattva. So this is a soul world. So, so what is relevant for both the actors Purush, Prakriti, and third actor, which is a Param Purush, the basic conceptual background which we are going to use has already been given. Now we are going to talk about why the Prakriti, which looks like classical things, which we can see, but then we have to analyze it using quantum physics. So which we are going to say that when Prakriti is observed, then it behaves like a classical physics, but in reality, it is the quantum physics. Let us go through that. Prakriti is made up of electron, the particle. This using classical laws. If we use those classical laws, then we can say that Prakriti is a circular orbit of the charge, means electron is circularly orbiting around nucleus, negative particle. Nucleus is a positive particles. Then we use the laws of force, mass. Force is equal to mass in Newton's law. Then acceleration is change of velocity. Velocity is change of distance. And if we follow this, then we can always determine velocity and we can determine the distance. So these are all deterministic. Define one based on the initial conditions. So this is the typical of the classical physics, or and it is based on the circular motion. There is always going to be acceleration. So that way, all these orbit dimension and all that already can be already defined by the Rutherford. But then Maxwell says that when any charged particle, when there is a charge and if it is at standstill, then there is always it will have electric field. When it is in constant velocity, then it derives a magnetic field called B. And then when it is in accelerating motion, then automatically E generates B and B generates C, so that auto generation, electromagnetic waves are auto generated and they are already radiated. Because there is a radiation, so there is going to be the discharge of the energy. So if it is going to be in a fixed orbit, suppose, say, this is going to be So this is going to be the orbit of the fixed radius. So if you apply the Maxwell electromagnetic theory, then that already said that because it's circular motion, so there is going to be acceleration, and because of the acceleration, there will always be going to be electromagnetic radiation. So that happens automatically because of the interaction of E. E generates B, and B generates C. So electromagnetic radiations are auto-generated, and because of that, there will always be the energy is lost, and then because this is the nucleus and this is the electron, so energy is lost, so that this electron will automatically keep on losing, and it will crash into the nucleus. So if it crashes, the atom cannot exist, and because atom cannot exist, phi element cannot exist, nor can our body exist. So as we see, so this is the scope of the physics. So this is what is the classical physics. So this is the classical physics, and we are going from classical physics to the quantum physics, where quantum physics is the size is the subatomic. Classical physics is size is the observable. So this is what is the classical physics. Classical physics fails in explaining the phenomena of phi element or phenomena of the atom. So this is the nucleus, electrons, and there is the radiation. So then we come to the quantum physics. In quantum physics, they have come up with Bohr model. So Bohr model is that the energy is not continuous. So they are always based on some quantum number, and it is by this is Planck constant. So in quantum there is a fixed orbit. So there is n. So there can n is 1, n is 2, n is 3. It cannot be any other numbers. It has to be a quantum number. And then change in energy. Change in energy it is also not continuous. So that like this, it will not crash into the nucleus. But this phenomena could only explain single electron or hydrogen atom could all be explained of the spectrum of the hydrogen atom. Beyond that, this phenomena are not good enough to explain this. So then it comes the de Broglie matter wave duality. So this is a wavelength. So de Broglie wavelength, the formula is that wavelength is inversely proportional to mass. So this is subatomic thing. The mass is 0. So there is always some particular wavelength, so which is deterministic. And so they are saying that maybe phi element at quantum level maybe behave like a wavelength, or it can behave like a energy. This we try to behave like a mass or a particle. So then they came out with a quantum model, and that was validated for multiple electrons. So it was validated for all elements in periodic table, and then the quantum number n is belongs to size, L is a shape, M is 3D orientation by wave equation, and that was theory was orbital. So here it was a nucleus, and then this electron was a cloud, or it was defined by orbital, and it was defined by Schrodinger equation, and this was valid for all elements, and it was validated by double slit experiment also. So we all know that this is true because this is how we have been using even in 12th in quantum physics. We are using L, M, and then even we are using some kind of S, just quantum physics numbers. So in classical physics, this was a particle. Everything was deterministic. Here in quantum physics, it was Schrodinger equation. It is all cloud. It is all probability. But then this is what is the true. So this was by default, Prakriti is kind of a cloud means it's a wave, or it is kind of energy, cannot be observed, it can only be felt. So there is this explanation of a cloud is also been given by the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Here what happens in classical physics, we see that the velocity and x, they all are determined based on the initial condition. But what Heisenberg uncertainty principle says that change in velocity and change in x is a constant. That means that if accuracy of the measurement of velocity is inversely proportional to the accuracy of the distance, so that both v and x cannot be determined at a time. So nothing can be measured accurately. So if we try to measure, there is always going to be collapse. There is no fixed path or a circle. So it is everything is a cloud of probability, and uh, it is based on something what we are going to call is that Fourier transform. So in Fourier transform, so this is a time domain and this is a frequency domain. So in frequency domain, if something is localized, in time domain, it is infinity. Where in time domain, if something is spread, then in frequency domain, it is localized. What it does it mean is that that there is a correlation. This is a Fourier transfer is something like a mathematical formula. So measure of the correlated variable, so that you cannot measure the correlated parameters accurately. If you measure accurately in frequency domain, then it will be spread in time domain and vice versa. So so all it boils down to that behavior of phi element or behavior of Prakriti is definitely is quantum world. It doesn't work in classical manners. It is a quantum world. Of course, we know that soul is even more subatomic than even probably Prakriti. So that also definitely makes sense. Quantum world. So interaction of these two elements, soul and Prakriti, we have to do it and we have to understand that it is in quantum world. We cannot understand in classical world. Uh, and in the quantum world, all this we are going to see through a double slit experiment. Let us understand the concept of double slit experiment. So we have seen that both Purut and Prakriti, if you want to analyze, we have to go through the quantum world. Then double slit experiment concept, that is going to see whether Prakriti duality, whether it is mass particle or an energy. Uh, now, to understand that, what we are going to do is that in this experiment, we are going to throw the electron one at a time, so there is no scattering effect. Then the slits, the double slits, so there are two slits, they are overlapping, but that overlapping is almost by the size of electron. And if electron is a particle, then it will, if there are two slits, so one electron will gain one slip, another electron will gain another slip, so one at a time. And if that behavior is then we can see that the phi element or electron behaves like a particle. And if electron is a wave, so suppose this is a sleeve, if it is going to be a wave, so there are two wave fronts, there will be two wave fronts, so they both will interact at a time. And then once they both these waveforms, when they interact, then there will be vector sum of the two waveform. And then if it is from the same source, because it's same source, so there will going to be an interference pattern. So this is going to be interference patterns. Interference patterns will have a multiple lines. So this is the energy. So whether the Prakriti is energy or whether the Prakriti is mass, that is what we are going to see. So this is a branch of physics. This is a classical mechanics. So that is related with mass, and then classical. So with mass is deterministic, the result is one stroke, and it is, understood or comprehended by human being or observer or the souls. And the versus this is a quantum mechanics where there are going to be multiple states. So it's a wave. No, you cannot you can never say which state it is. There is a multiple state, or it is the kind of the cloud which we have also seen in the previous slide, which is what is the quantum physics says it is a quark, and it is determined by Heisenberg. It is determined by the Schrodinger equation. So there will be multiple slits or a cloud. So if it is a cloud, then it will behave like interference. If it is going to be the wave, then it is one. So that there will be only two. There will be a two slits waveform. Otherwise, it is going to be the cloud. So the first law, quantum laws, means we say that quantum, we have seen that for Prakriti and Purush, both actors, only quantum laws are going to be applicable, that we have justified, and these are the two actors of the world drama. Now we are going to see in detail how these laws are applicable, laws 2, 3, and 4, and then we will see, we'll conclude by law number 5. So let us see that how these laws in the Prakriti, this law is going to be applicable. So we will see how these laws are applicable. So we'll talk about young double slit experiment on the Prakriti, means quantum state, whether it is particle or whether it is energy, and it will be based on the observation of the soul. So that observation is how, means soul is observer and the Prakriti is what it is observed. So we say that if it is energy, then this is the energy waveform, the 5 element, whether it is energy or whether it is a particle. So whether it is energy or a particle, that we will see. The experiment is that there is electron gun, one by one electron is there, and then this electron is without any observation. So there is no source. Without any unobserved, when electron is passing through this double slit, then we will be seeing the multi-line pattern. We will see the interference pattern. And once we see the interference pattern, means the electron is behavior is almost like a wave equation, or it is a Schrodinger equation. So when it is unobserved, uh, Prakriti, then behavior is, it is like a wave or it is like an energy. So this is what we have seen. Now let us introduce the soul or an observer. So when these things are being observed, so we know the soul as its energy is given by the HF. So is the frequency of vibrations of the soul. So part 2 is that when this is happening, so the soul is observing here. So before entering the double slit, soul is trying to observe the electrons before it enters the bubble slit. So this is the forward path, means before we observe this double slit. So what was the observation? The observation is that the waveform that was collapsed on observation. So when we try to observe, waveform is collapsed and we have seen one particle. So instead of these multiple lines, we have only seen 2 lines. That means scientists were startled that it has almost started behaving like a particle. If it was unobserved, it was behaving like an energy. So collapse of the wave, so particle one state. So behavior of the change of electron or prakriti is controlled by the observation. So when it is observed, so the behavior of this prakriti is changed. So what we always know, the sankalp se srushti. So the observation was that Prakriti means the conscious. We say that soul as this, and there is the conscious part. So this conscious part seems to be controlling the Prakriti because this is what is the observation. So this is the when you observe, the behavior automatically changes, and it is kind of the Schrodinger equation collapsed, and then this is how the behavior changes. So this is what is the two means Prakriti behaves duality means when it is unobserved, it was behaving like energy or a wave. So that is one way, and another way when it is observed means observed before observation. So forward observation, it behaved like a particle. So the conclusion from this is that it seems that conscious mind or conscious part of the Purush seems to be controlling the Prakriti or controlling the behavior of the electron at quantum level. Now let us go further into this observation. So here there is only forward, we will also do the retrospective observation and let us see what is the conclusion. So let us go back to that experiment. So now we'll not observe here. We'll now observe here. So it is a retrospective observation. So electron has come here. We are not observing here. And so what was our initial apprehension that because we are observing, that observation was changing the behavior of electron here and making it particle, and that is why this is visible. Here we are not observing at this particular point of time. Only when things have been passed, then we also observed. That also, then also we were surprised that it gave two lines. That means that it again started behaving like a particle. So what was the conclusion that before here it was when energy was observed, because by default unobserved, we always seen that it behave energy, electrons behave like energy. So this energy, as soon as it was observed, we have seen that the energy has changed into the particle. So this is past, this is the future. That is fine. Now, this observation is that we are observing the future. So when we are observing the future, so what here is that in the past you have देखा, then ये change हो गया, बराबर है. पास्ट में देखा तो ये चेंज हो गया. अभी हमने फ्यूचर में देखा, तो फ्यूचर में देखा तो पास्ट चेंज हो गया. जो पास्ट था यानी this was supposed to be energy. I have observed here, it has become particle, but I have not observed here. But because here, I have observed here, so because somehow it knew that is going to get observed. So here, this observation has changed at this future here itself because it could predict that somebody is going to observe. So it changed its behavior from energy to the mass, and this is how we have seen this behavior. So this behavior means future effect and past cause. So it is a two-way. So this is also behaving like this, and this is a two-way behaving. So cause and effect, it is two-way. This is only possible. It is something like a predetermined. It is like this. In the clockwise also, you get the same result. When you go on anti-clockwise, also it says again. So then, it is like some kind of a circle, predetermined circle. So there was a conclusion, there is nothing new. So it is bani banai. So that, bani banai, जो बनी बनाई है उसी तरह से सृष्टि चल रही है. The conclusion was that some script in the Purush is controlling the Prakriti. It is not the conscious. It is not when I am observing. But observation is there, means presence of Purush is there. But it is not the conscious of the Purush. It is some kind of a script which is controlling the Prakriti. So this is how This is what is concluded by retrospective. So we call it retrospective collapse. Here it was a collapse on a forward observation. This is a retrospective observation. So there is a collapse on this observation. So once it is observed, it behaves like a particle because the conscious can only understand the classical mechanics. It cannot understand because this can be energy can only be experienced. It is very difficult to understand that. So the third thing is that when I do the Prakriti retrospectively observed, it still shows the particle. When it is forward observation, it was showing the particle. And that conclusion was that it was the script of the Purush which is controlling the Prakriti. So 1, 2, 3, this is 3 observation. This is the conceptual experiment. In course of time, let me now erase out. So this observation, this experiment was done in 1900, and there was some kind of a thought experiment by Wheeler thought experiment. So this more sophisticated one was verified in 1995. It is called as the dealer's choice quantum eraser. Which way means which way. So this is a very sophisticated experiment. We'll not go into the detail of that. And it is kind of an eraser. So if it is determined thing, unobserved, determined, then if it is unobserved, then it behaves like an eraser and like a wave, and otherwise it behaves like a particle. So this is just to validate the same thing in 1991. So it was sealed. That means whatever the observation, in fact, this observation, even Einstein had a reservation. Einstein himself was not able to comprehend this kind of phenomena. And what he observed was that only if I look at moon, then moon exists. And if I don't look at moon, moon does not exist. That kind of a thing. That kind of a thing by the Einstein. So this is, but it, but we can say that this is a truth because it is Schrödinger's equation, and based on this thing, all electronics in the world, even computers, they follow this Schrödinger equation, and as per that, everything is work. So this is no illusion. It is actually the truth. So in the quantum physics, which is we are saying that this is what is a Prakriti is a energy is a truth, but what we are observing is mass. So this was validated. Now script is validated. Now again, it is also been validated by theory of relativity. The same thing is getting validated with theory of relativity, and it will give more insight how the actual calculations and all happens. So let us see how the theory of relativity works. Now, let us go step by step. See, Newton's world, there were always 3 dimensions, X, Y, Z. So when there was 3 dimension, the time was always a question mark. So we always say that something is happening. So we always look forward to future. So something is happening. But Einstein says that no, it is actually the space is 4 dimension. So it is X, Y, Z and time. So this is space and time are related, and we X, Y, Z, we are going to call it as equal R, and the time is T, and there is a complex parameter. We will not go into the details, but Einstein says that space is related. So once Einstein says space is related, that means there is no question mark on time. So time is almost like it is also stored. So it is it is already stored. It is nothing is happening. It is already kind of predetermined. So this is how four-dimension space and time, or it is we can call Einstein's block universe, is represented. Now here, so here every point is an event. So this is a, say, source event, and this is a destination event. So this is also XYZT represented by RT. So this is, you can say that R1 T1, and this is R2 T2. So here, this is a point, this is a point, and this event, this is the line. Any line joins 2 points. So this is the line. And the script, what is the script? Script is a event points. So joining of the event points by a line. So, like this, like this, like this, like this. So this is your world line. So this world line can be of one life, or it can be of multiple lives. So this is what is a script. So this is how the script is defined. World lines and event based on the points. So every point in Einstein's four dimension is an event. So event has to have a history and geography. History is the time and geography is XYZ coordinates. Now the theory of relativity is that, so here this is past, this is future, but then this one is a present. So this is I can say this is a frame of reference. In this frame of reference, these 2 points, I can say that they are happening because this is a time axis. So this is a time axis. So this is the present. So time is 0. So these 2 points, we can say they are, they are behaving that they are almost simultaneously points. In this, the all points in this plane is, we can say the time is equal to 0. But is that true? See, let me change the color. Okay. Suppose I change the another plane. So say I keep this plane. Okay. So in this plane, if I say this is another frame of reference. So these 2 points, they will not be simultaneously. You can say that this point is ahead and this point is back. So this is the past and this is the future. So, if plane is inclined, then our concept of the 2 points simultaneously goes haywire. So which point is, then it becomes one after another. See, A and B points were together, time is 0, but then A, if the frame of reference changes, so A follows B, or B is after A. So this is what is, so this is, everything is relative. So make it absolute, they come with a concept called space-time interval of the two events. And then this was the equation. So S is a space-time interval. So this is S between the two intervals. And then there was the equation based on coordinate geometry. And then they have come out with, so if the space-time interval is going to be absolute, that means it is like a time interval. That means that T1 and T2 means here T2 will be greater than T1. So that means that this is the cause and this is the effect. So, based on this kind of a thing, they have come out with an equation, which is kind of the cone, where from this point, you can only go in any point in the cone. You cannot go beyond this cone. So events for certain cone-like regions. So this is the past region, this is the future region, and present event is connected to both. This is the present point, so this is the past, this is the future, and world line can be derived. So what is this world line? This is the world line. This red line is the world line. So I can go from here to here. So I can go from past to present and from present to future. So this is the cause, effect, again cause, effect. So effect. So this is, so what we are concluding is that Prakriti behaves as per the cause effect, law of causation. So this is the theory of relativity is proving that there's a Prakriti is behaving like a law of causation. So these are the scripts. So these are the points. So all these points, what is this? These points generate the script. So Prakriti follows the script, and that script is nothing but the world line. So this is how this is a world line. Okay, you can go ahead and this is my world line. This is how I am going. So this becomes another world line. So what does it says? And it always Prakriti behaves as per the law of it follows the predetermined script and not random. See, it is predetermined for you. I cannot go here. From here, I cannot go here. So that is not allowed by this equation. So I can go from here to here. I cannot go from here to here. So there is some predefined discipline is being followed. So this is the Prakriti follows the law of causation. So, and not random. So now we all know that Purush controls the Prakriti. So Purush script is controlling the Prakriti script. The Prakriti script is proved by theory of relativity. So if Prakriti is following script, Purush has to. We have seen there is a script in Purush also. So what is the script? That Purush follows some kind of a karmic threads or karmic thread. So that law of causation means Prakriti is a script, it follows the world line. So this is the event. Now, therefore, Purush is also following the script, and this script, or we can say the karmic account, is what is our nasib. So that script of the nasib is controls the Purush, which in turn controls the Prakriti. And so that is, of course, we know it is all stored in forehead. So it is Bani Banai script. So Bani Banai script, which is there in Purush, which is controlling the Srushti, because that Bani Banai script also controls the Prakriti script, and this is how the Srushti works. So the Purush is indirectly controlling the five element. The key point is there that the script is this is the every point in the script is RT. So this is geography, this is a history, and we will use this to understand function. And this is four-dimensional space. So Euclidean space is X, Y, Z, which is what is Newton says. Einstein has added time dimension, and Minkowski will derive this triangles and all that. So Minkowski says that when it is this equation is less than zero, so this is all the possible, and the greater than zero is not possible. The reason is that if you want to do this, the speed of the velocity has to be greater than c. Then these two events cannot communicate with each other. If they cannot communicate with each other, they cannot be part of the script. So this is how this has been explained. And now we will go back again here. So this was the fourth law, where again say that Prakriti script is the word line. It is the summation of the event points, which is RT. RT is a four-dimension X, Y, Z, and T. So this Prakriti is predetermined. It is not random. We have seen that. So Prakriti is following the law of causation. And we know that Prakriti is controlled by Purush. If Prakriti is following the law of causation, Purush has to follow the law of causation. And where is that law of causation? We have seen that see, in all these experiments, it is not only the script, the presence of the Purush or observer is must. So that script has to be in Purush, and that is what we know it is in our forehead. So this is what is the nasib. So it is in the forehead. So this is the fourth is nothing the validation of the law number 3, but then it gives some insight into the mathematical formula. And now we are going to conclude based on these 4 laws. That is what we are going to conclude. And it will be a kind of a mathematical treatment. So that is what is a Schrödinger's energy equation. So there is a Schrödinger's energy equation. So these energies, we are going to use kinetic energy, potential energy, and there will be some correction. So there will be there will be a total energy. And so based on this Schrodinger equation, they have simulated all elements with different kinetic and potential energy, and then they validated based on the spectrum for all elements of the periodic table. So this is the Schrodinger equation. Now, now let us recap. The classical particles, Newton's law is force minus, then we have the acceleration is derivative velocity, velocity derivative r means r can be x, y, z. And then in classical form, we can solve and we can always get r and t. So this is always possible in Cartesian and it is a deterministic. In quantum principle, there is always a probability. We say that in classical it was a circle, in quantum it was a cloud. So we will not go into the mathematical details. So how this was derived, that was derived is this energy is, this is kinetic energy, potential energy, and there is the correction. So based on any system, at quantum level, we will see this, we will formulate the system, and then it is formulated partially different Schrodinger equation, and then it will have E1, E2, C, then this is a wave function and R and T. So this is the R and T, this is the axis. So based on that, we'll have a solution. So it is something like this. When there is a solution, there we are going to be, when this is the psi or a wave function, it is solved. So when it is solved, then it was a sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, sigma 4, and it was behavior is like a energy. So when it was solved, so it was based on, as he said, this is the energy is in y-axis and x-axis is r or t, one by one, x, y, z, t, any of these parameters. We can solve this. So once this, and it is a quantum, so there is no in between. This n is 1, n is 2, n is 3. So in quantum physics, when it was a minimum, so then it was, like this. So because there were two boundaries, so this is how it was behavior. But a slightly higher energy level, it was behaving like this. So here it was energy was 0, it was maximum. Then in a high n is 3, this was behave like this. So it was either behaving like this, like this, like this, like this, and there were multiple options were there. So this kind of thing is called a superposition. It can be this and this and this and this. This superposition is very well explained by something as a Schrodinger's cat equation. So cat in a box, we do not know it is living, it is alive, or it is dead also. So it's alive and dead. Only when we observe or when we open the box, we'll know that whether it is alive or dead. It is kind of a tossed up dice or observe. So when I am tossing up the dice, so it can be 2, 4, 3, 1, 6. It can be any one of them. So the tossing of the dice is something called as, this is called as energy. So here when tossing of the dice, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1, then it can be 2, 3, 4. So this is n is 3, n is 4. It can be 1, 2, n is 2. Here n can be 1. This is can be 1. So it could be anything. So one of these things. Now when the Schrodinger solved this equation, but he never understood that. But then later on, people have understood that when this equation was solved, the sigma was solved. The square of the sigma was kind of a probability. Like if this is the equation, then what is the maximum probability is here. So this L by 2 will give maximum probability. Here for this, what is the maximum probability? This. So the L by 4 will give maximum probability. Here, maximum probability will be L by 6. Okay, this is the maximum probability. So sigma square is 1. So this probability. So this is the kind of a probability coefficient. So so now let us understand. Let me let me clear this. So now this is the tossed up dice. This whole thing is tossed up dice. Now, when I observe, so when I see what is the count? So when I measure these observations, so tossing the phenomena. So this toss up, this was as per the Schrodinger equation, where there multiple solutions were there. In this case, there were 6 possible solutions were there. But when I take it in my hand, or when the tossing is collapsed, then we can say that one of this will be solution. So it can be energy 1 or energy 2, energy 3, but it is a quantum. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It cannot be any fraction. This can be a solution. So let us say, and in this, the probability of this is the probability. So, so the solution here, see, let us say that it's tossed. The solution was sigma 4. Barabar? Then this is the solution. But that this solution itself is not enough. We need a specific solution. So we need that in that solution as per the probability. So sigma is a probability. So as per the probability, okay, probability is that the problem will be either here, 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 or here. But then after it can be here. So if you do a lot of observations, most of them you will get the thing somewhere here, here, here. But then there is also possibility somewhere here, here. So that is the probability. So ultimately, the solution or that mass, this is energy. So this energy is E1, E2, E3 for superposition of energy. Out of that, one of the energies concerned, out of the probability, one of the particle, this is the solution. So this is the solution. So here sigma, sigma 4, and then based on this RT. So this is and we are getting only one of the solutions. So this is our solution. So this is the duality of the behavior. So that when it is tossed up, it is behaving like energy, and when it is this thing, it is behaving like a energy. So this is the indirect explanation of the double slit experiment. So this when it is unobserved, so it is like a tossed up. But the problem is that in unobserved in both the direction, it is it is behaving like the similar, and that is why it is a script. Otherwise, it would have been only a conscious thing. Now, so this is the superposition. So this now, as I said that this Schrodinger equation works, but then people were never comfortable. But it was working, but people were never comfortable. Even Einstein, the person with the maximum IQ, was not even comfortable with this observations. But gradually, more and more experiment. As I said, that the uh, thing were validated. The quantum phenomena is 1900, but the thing were validated in 1999. That I said, some eraser experiment. So that was very sophisticated experiment, and then everything. Today, the whole world is convinced that this is truth. Now, there are many interpretation of this. So what is the information? This we know the psi, we know that afterwards, after this was there, later on, so the sigma square is a probability, and how this wave function. So the first interpretation was given by Copenhagen. It's a continued downward. There are 3 scientists. Their was interpretation was that when you measure, or when this is a measure, when you measure, then the equation collapse. He says that don't ask anything, you measure, equation collapse, and it will be as per the Schrodinger equation. So no logic was explained, and then so they said that measure and shut up. That is what it is. So this was the initial interpretation of this. So you measure, यानी आम खाओ उसमें गुठली गिनने की क्या जरूरत है, that kind of a thing. Then there was a multi-word interpretation. Means they say that no, this is not collapse. That means that suppose I am tossing coin, so and when I'm observing it, so maybe I'm observing 4 in one world, but second there will be, see, if there are 6 solutions, then there will be 6 worlds. So 6 different world will be there. The one world is what we are saying here. So there are equivalently 6 different worlds, so number of solutions. So there is no collapse. Number of solution is a number of worlds. So this is, it is it is kind of, visualization. So there are, different worlds exist. So maybe we have a 4 in this world. When somebody at that the same time is getting 3 in that world and that kind of thing. So there was another interpretation called the multi-world interpretation. Then there was a Newman and Wagner interpretation. So what it is saying that this equation is a superposition. So there is 1 and 2 and 3. Superposition means cat is alive and dead, that kind of superposition. So they say that this superposition is fine, so that it will work for instruments and all that. But this superposition cannot work in metaphysics entity because conscious or our script is kind of a metaphysics entity. So, and then we know that conscious cannot comprehend multiple states. So I cannot conscious cannot contribute. It can be 1, 1, 2, and 3 and 4. It cannot conscious cannot comprehend. So conscious has to work in a classical world. It cannot work in a quantum field. It cannot comprehend. So it is a one. So energy is many, it is a one state, or even it is mass, it's or. Instead of and, it is on. So energy to mass, and to or many to one. So this, because of this consciousness, or this is kind of a metaphysics phenomena. So it says that things has to be collapsed because the conscious can only understand this. So this is given some kind of explanation of this interpretation of the Schrodinger equation. Now, there is some kind of a spiritual explanation of this, the Vedic. What it says is Jagat Mithya. So we know that, if somebody says Schrodinger equation, so Schrodinger equation is a multiple solution. So, it can be this and this and this. So, it looks like Mithya, a kind of illusion, because it will have psi 1, psi 2, psi 3 and multiple things. So it is, but then what we say that when we measure, so Brahma means Sakshi Drashta, means somebody who is observer, Brahma, then it is Satya, means this is all sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 6 is all is Mithya. What is truth is what we observe. So, and this is a Vedic interpretation or Vedic spiritual interpretation of Schrodinger equation. And why it is that basically says that when soul means Brahma, we are all souls are Sakshi. So when we dream, so we also create and we destroy the dream. So that we are really powerful. And that is why they say that we can create and we can destroy it. So that we are a creator, we are a destroyer. So that this is what is the truth. Otherwise, everything else is a mithya. So what it is trying to say is that interpretation here is that energy is a mithya, Purush conscious is a satya. So M is a satya. So conscious of the Purush is a satya, energy is a mithya. This is what is interpretation. Then there is a Ashtavakra Gita. Their interpretation is everything is mithya except the Q part of the soul or supreme soul or Brahma or what is the pure. See, I had explained when I was explaining the soul. So I have explained the soul, then I had explained the Prakriti, and I had explained something called as a Param Purush. Param Purush, whether it's in soul, when I explained, so I said Q, and then there was a black part, or we call it a Vikar. But in Supreme Soul Param Purush, there is, I said the Q is infinity and there is no Vikar. So this is, almost pure and a perfect form. What Ashtavakra Gita says is that Q is also part of the Supreme Soul. Q is infinity. There is no Vikar. So this is truth. So all this Q is the truth. And everything else is a mithya. And then it can say that Q may be a part of the Brahm also. It may be merging or demerging from the Brahm, or this, it can be not Supreme Soul, it can be the whole Brahman. That is, a soul world could be the whole thing, but their interpretation of the soul world is made up of the Brahma element. So that itself is a truth. Or the part of that Brahma element, so part of the soul is the Brahma element. So their interpretation is that soul is equal to Supreme Soul, which is the sixth element. and that is a Satya, and everything else is Mathya, including Vikar. It doesn't even recognize the Vikar. So this is what is the Ashtavakra Gita interpretation, or what it says is Aham Brahmasvi, means I am, Atma is Paramatma, and I am Atma. So when you are in that mode, when you are in really in Sakshi mode, then you can say that Atma is always a perfect. This body, Vikar, Man, Chintan is different. So they say that Atma is the different, means Atma is only Q. This our conscious, Man, body, Chit, all that is separate from the Atma. So that is their Ashtavakra Gita interpretation. What is the Murli interpretation, or what is the God equation, or Gita in a true Gita interpretation is following. See, this is, I have drawn the diagram of the soul. So this is the Q part, this is the script part, and this is the conscious mind. This is the total soul. This is what is our interpretation of this presentation. This is the Purush. So this is whole thing is a Purush. So this is the Purush. As we see that script generates R and T. So from the script, this RT is generated, okay, and this is a Prakruti. So this is a Prakruti is the energy. So from the script RNT is generated, it goes to the Prakruti, and as per the Schrodinger equation, this energy will be multi. So there will be E1, E2, E3, E4, anything. So as per this equation, at that particular point of R and T, whichever is E is applicable. So here E is 4 is applicable. So, and as per the probability, suppose E4 is applicable, as per the probability, this is the solution, this is the mass. So, as per the Schrodinger equation, as per the script, and it will give the solution of the mass. So, and that solution will be understood by the Purusha or the conscious mind. So, this is the interpretation, the kind of a Murli interpretation, or the true interpretation by God. That means that this script is like a karma. So karma is indirectly through script is controlling this. But see, there is always this kind of thing. There is a guya. So this says that it is a guya gati. So gati is a guya, but then it is a truth. So what it is saying is that uh, so Prakruti E was guya. So first this arrow was given. So RT script is RT was given here. Then the Prakriti is Guya. We know that because it is E1, E2, E3, E4. So Prakriti is Guya. And once the script is run, then from this, as per the equation, this deterministic, so this Prakriti converts, as per the script, it converts E into the M. And then E into M. And M, this M is given to conscious mind. So Purush script goes to the Prakriti, it processes and then gives this M solution to the Purush. So what it says, it's Purush script is a truth, and we know that this is an eternal drama. We know that the script is circular, clockwise, anti-clockwise. So this is eternal drama, but because it is this script, this karma gati is a guya. So the script is guya, and that is why we feel that things are happening uh, without giving a notice. So it is a karma ki gati is a guya. So it is a subjective uncertainty, but this is all is truth. So here, as for the Murli Samhita, nothing is mathya, everything is truth, and key is that the script of the Purush which is Satya. There's eternal drama. So everything is being controlled through eternal drama. It is as per this equation. Now we'll again go back here. Uh, so see, the first law is that for Purush and Prakriti, we are applying quantum physics. Then we have done these two experiments when we observe forward observation, reverse observation, unobserved is energy. Both is exists. So we have concluded that Purush script is controlling the Prakriti, and we have seen that Prakriti is also follow the script, and because of this script, we have come up with R and T. So this is the four dimension X, Y, Z, and T. So these are the parameters of the script. So this script is made up of number of RTs. So what we are saying is that Purush script Purush gives the script to the Prakriti, which is E, and then Prakriti, based on the script, convert E and into M, and then returns the value to Purush conscious mind. So Purush gets this M is a conscious mind, which Purush can comprehend. And so this is the equation and interpretation of this based on Q plus R. So this is a quantum physics, this is a quantum physics, this is the theory of relativity. And based on this, what we have generalized this A1 is A1 and A2. So A1 is proportional to A2. So Purush is kind of a Prakriti, almost they are equal. Uh, and and then we have seen the timeline. So this is a timeline. And then we have seen A1 and equal. So we don't know what is the magnitude of A1 and A2. So we are saying that there is a no slope and we do not know about the quality. So we have just defined that this is a drama, this is a Purush and Prakriti, and we have defined that Purush and Prakriti, this is a time. So this Purush and Prakriti can coexist in the same axis because they are all, because the Purush script is controlling the Prakriti. So Purush and Prakriti, so these two actors, we will put it in this axis, and here we have time axis, which is what we have seen. As far as till now, we have seen this slope seems to be zero. When we see this thing, we will know that slope is always downgrading. Then we will we will see that the slope is downgrading. Then there is some phenomena, metaphysics. Slope has to go up again. So slope is negative, slope is positive, and because of that, there the cycle comes in that we will all see later on. So this is about slope. So So this is what we have seen. This is the time axis where we say the drama is line and then Purush's script is controlling the Prakriti. We have actually seen the total equation. This is the two element. We are not going to talk about quality or slope. We have considered M with slope is equal to 0, but we say that Purush and Prakriti, A1 is proportional. So this will be the quality of Purush and Prakriti. Those things we will see in part 3. This is the part 3. Then we will see in the part 4 whether it is cyclic, and then part 5 we will totally simulate the whole cyclic journey. So this is how we have now defined the drama, which is line, and where we have assumed that quality is C. So here, because here we have seen M is equal to 0. So here we are also saying Y is equal to 0 with time, because quality is 0, and here quality is always decreasing. So it is actually a maximum quality. And then this is now we are completing the part 2. Then we will come up with part 3, part 4, and then ultimately part 5.